And we're live from the plush Platinum Heights building here, Northridge, Accra. This is Newsroom on GHOne television. Coming up in the next hour, TUC in a crucial meeting with the board of SNIT over sale of hotels to a Greek minister. We're live to the meeting shortly. Also, Deputy Finance Minister blames the depreciation of the cedi on the import-driven economy, which he describes as a ritual. We'll engage a financial expert for more. Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability demands or describes silence of Ghana Bar Association on alleged leak tape involving the Attorney General as worrying. We'll speak to Mensah Thompson, who is Executive Director for ASEPA. And in our latest documentary, GHOne TV's Natalie highlights Ghana's poor maintenance culture, calling on duty bearers to act. Later in sports, Black Stars head coach admits goal-scoring challenge of the team needs critical work to enhance chances of World Cup appearance. We've got details of these and more coming up shortly. Stay with us. Thank you so much for staying on with us on GHOne television. This is Newsroom here. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. To the details of our stories this morning, and Deputy Finance Minister Dr. Stephen Amoah has blamed the depreciation of the cedi on the import-driven economy, noting the situation is a ritual problem. In an interview with the media on Wednesday, he noted that the phenomenon is not limited to a particular government owing to the country's continuous reliance on importation. He, however, assured a Baumia-led government will develop a long-term framework to deal with the depreciation of the cedi.
We imported that cedi depreciation is a ritual problem. I agree with you. It's not because of one particular government. Unless one is suffering from unconscious incompetence or displaying intellectual dishonesty, that will say that cedi depreciation is MPP government. It's an issue that has nationalistic or that needs nationalistic attention. That one I agree. But it's not. So far, we keep on being in importer-driven economy. We'll be having problems with the cedi because we import almost everything. But inshallah, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, next year if he comes, we're going to design a long-term framework to deal with the cedi. Trust me, if you can pay your child's school fees, you complain against free school. But those whose parents were not able to afford senior high school for their elder sisters and brothers, trust you see how they're happy? When I'm giving them water, only about 3 did not take. So 97% they will vote for us.
So we'll have a conversation on this shortly. But away from that, former Northern Regional Minister Abubakar Abdullahi is refuting claims made by the Ghana Irrigation Development Authority, GIDA, that the $12 million paid to the contractor undertaking the Pualugu multi-purpose irrigation dam project was for mobilization and not the final payment, stating it is simply outrageous. The Ghana Irrigation Development Authority, in a press statement on Tuesday, May 28, said the payment formed part of the terms of the contract, which required the contractor, Mensah's Power Construction Corporation of China, Power China, to be paid a total of $48.5 million as mobilization fee once the contractor was able to provide advance payment guarantee from a reputable bank. Now, speaking on the Breakfast Review segment of GH Today, the former Northern Regional Minister said it is simply outrageous to pay this hefty sum for mobilization.
The ultimate goal is to get the work done, but not to explain to us why the work has not been done, and to justify why you spent our money in an uncompleted project.
So you're not satisfied with the explanation that GIDA
Not that we are not satisfied. I'm not interested in the explanation. I'm interested in the series of projects where this government have contracted other organizations or companies to deliver services and projects. At the end of the day, the project is not done. We stop talking about the project, but yet some amount of money has been spent. And yet that money is gone. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm saying that in jurisdictions where governance is a serious business, unlike Ghana, those are serious matters. One, we talked about the Ejapa deal. $12 million went through consultancy and other distance. Where is the project? Nothing has been done. The PDS, how much money did we lose? If you go in there, even as we speak now, it is on record. through the Otto Addo's report that PDS is holding about 2 million Ghanaians that they have not accounted to Ghanaians. It's gone. If you go to the Motor Angel project I'm talking about, the expansion of the Tema motorway, a lot of money was put into it. There's nothing going on in that particular place. All these activities, series of activities, there are always explanations as to how that money has been spent. But in the end, what they promised the people of Ghana to do is not done. We forget about it and go and get a new project again, conceptualize it, spend money halfway, leave it, it is not done. That is a very good example of an incompetent government.
Now, Deputy Sanitation Minister Medu Chinia Isahaku, however, queried the respective agencies on their prolonged silence on the matter. He further charged them to come out with the real facts regarding the construction of the dam to prevent conspiracy theories.
Personally, I had the cause to request that the relevant ministries or agencies, and for that matter, government, need to come and speak on this matter. If you look at the video of the ranking member for energy, Honorable John Jinapo, when he visited the site with Honorable Bawa, and the report that came up, it gave cause to be worried. Because if government has expended $11.9 million and there is nothing to show, and nobody is speaking to us, and we don't understand how that money was expended, you should be worried. Either Parliament, Energy Committee as a whole, or Committee of Agric can still visit the site and engage some relevant institutions to interrogate the issues further, so that we can clearly understand.
Right, so let's go back to our earlier story on the comments made by the Deputy Finance Minister, Dr. Stephen Amoah, on why we are experiencing the cedi depreciating at the rate at which it is doing. And we've been joined on Zoom by Senior Lecturer at the Department of Finance of the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Isumin, on this particular matter. Prof, thank you so much for joining us on Newsroom. But do you think, as it stands now, we've been able to have a proper diagnosis of why the cedi is behaving the way it is?
Good morning, and good morning to viewers. Thanks for having me. I think the issue about the diagnosis of the long-term problems of the cedi are well known. So when we see sharp depreciation in a short period of time, like we are seeing now, usually it reflects some short-term movement, short-term patterns. So currently, we, as the finance minister himself has explained, the Bank of Ghana has also explained. Part of it is that for the first quarter of this year, our trade balance situation has worsened compared to last year. So we are importing a little bit more than we normally do for this time of the year. So that is part of the problem of the currency. And then also, sentiments have turned against the currency. I think people are betting that the currency will continue depreciating. So that's also another reason. And we also know that the US dollar is strengthening against almost all the major trading currencies. So all of these are part of the reasons why we've seen the cedi depreciate sharply.
So in the stance that we are blaming that mostly or solely on the fact that our economy is import driven, it's something that we see over the years, and so what we do need now is a long-term plan to address the issue. Would you say that what we're experiencing as of now is solely due to the fact that our economy is import driven?
No, I don't think that's the only reason. I think if you look at trade position, yes, it's declined, but it wouldn't explain the kind of sharp depreciation that we are seeing right now. The other thing is that the economy is too dependent on foreign financing. So especially in the first quarter, you realize that the foreign businesses who have invested in the economy, they have to repatriate their dividends. They have to, do the annual reporting. And because they came with dollars, they have to go with dollars. So that will bring some additional demand. So usually in the first quarter, you see the cedi tend to come under pressure. Then also because of the situation we are in with the IMF program, I think, even though the Bank of Ghana says they have a lot of reserves, you get a sense that they cannot freely intervene in the market the way they probably would have wished.
Right.
Sometimes when we see the cedi depreciating sharply like this, the central bank step in a little bit, but we are in an IMF program and we have to meet some targets for our gross international reserve. So you get a sense that even though we have a little bit more reserves than we even did last year, you get a sense that the central bank is cautious in intervening. It doesn't mean it can't intervene, but it will be cautious from intervening massively like it will ordinarily have done. Then there's the import versus export. So we have to understand that if you look at the trade balance itself, it's actually a surplus. We have the value of what you have exported is more than the value of what you have imported.
Right.
But because we do a lot of, there are a lot of foreign servicing, the services component, that means we are importing a lot of foreign services. And then we have foreign companies also having to repatriate their profits. All of that put together actually ensures that the balance sells. So that's where we are.
Right. And talking about how we can get ourselves out of the situation we find ourselves in, we've heard the Vice President, for instance, talk about the fact that we need to back up the cedi with gold. And with that, we would likely see the depreciation slow and we'll be able to strengthen our cedi. What are your thoughts on backing up the cedi with mineral resources, gold, for instance?
Yeah, I've always been very skeptical about the gold reserve purchase and the gold for oil program. I think, so think about it this way. We produce the gold. We can either sell the gold for foreign currency or we can decide to keep the gold as reserves. So from where I sit, until and unless maybe either the price of the gold has gone up or the value, the quantity of gold we are producing have gone up. I really don't understand fundamentally why, keeping more gold reserves should actually help stabilize the currency. Because the gold that we decide not to put on the market, it will help boost our reserves. But it means that it is also the same gold that we could have exported and received the dollar. So
right.
I really struggle to understand, unless you say there's something about the program that will ensure that maybe some gold that were being smuggled is now being retained in the country. Then you could see how that is working. But I think fundamentally, we have to diversify our exports. We have to cut our imports. We have to get more value addition. And we have to reduce our dependence on foreign finance.
Very well. Prof, thank you so much for the insight this morning. That's Professor Patrick Esumi. He's a senior lecturer at the Department of Finance at the University of Ghana Business School. But away from that, executives of the Trades Union Congress, TUC, is meeting with the board members of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, over the brouhaha surrounding the sale of SNIT hotels. My colleague Abdul Hanan Adam is at that meeting. He has joined us from the SNIT boardroom with details of that meeting between the board members of SNIT and the leadership of the Trades Union Congress. Hanan, so what can you tell us from this particular meeting currently ongoing?
Well, Joshua, TUC heavily represented as organized labor in their numbers, and SNIT led by the board chair, that is former education minister and former minister for information, Elizabeth Ohene, leading the board of SNIT in this particular engagement. And the meeting today essentially is to engage with organized labor and try to explain to them or sort of justify why the 60% or majority shares being offloaded or sort of being in the process of being offloaded to Rock City Hotel Limited, owned by Agric Minister Brian Champong, is the best deal. But organized labor stands firm in its demand that the deal should be cancelled. But then today, what is expected to happen is that they will first of all listen to SNIT, do their presentation, justify why we should sell off these 6 hotels, and then organized labor will then make an input regarding that. But earlier, a few members that would engage are telling us that they remain very resolute on their stance that if this deal is not cancelled, they will hit the street and organize a mammoth demonstration that is yet to be seen in this country. But then again, some of the members are also saying that if this deal is reversed in a way that Rock City Hotel Limited actually gets a minimal share, sort of to say like 30% or 25% of the shares in the slate hotels, then that would be a good deal. But then selling 60% shares to Rock City Hotel Limited remains one of a challenge for them, and they are not willing to accept that. But Senate will do their presentation and justify why we should sell off that majority shares to Rock City. But it is up to organized labor to determine whether that presentation or the reasons they are given is actually justified. But then organized labor is not really going forward with what we are seeing in the media. It appears they also have some detailed information regarding this issue. They have documentation, and we are all well aware about the fact that they have the presentation of the state board, and that particular person will be neutral to this meeting today, because the person who is represented on the state board also raised questions regarding this particular issue. And of course, organized labor indeed today, before this meeting, are not in sync with this particular deal and want the deal abrogated in the UK. But then, Joshua, earlier we understand that organized labor had a meeting with the president, but then they are not willing to share that details yet. But we'll try as much as possible to find out what the details of the meeting was with the president actually is sometime last week. Then corroborate that with whatever is aspired to. But then Elizabeth Ohene, once she was walking into the meeting, was that the board chair was very optimistic about the fact that he will be able to convince about this particular deal. But then it's up to organized labor to determine whether this deal is indeed favorable for the Ghanaian worker or not.
Vero, Hanan, thank you so much for the update, and we'll definitely come back to you to get to know exactly what the outcome of that meeting would be. You're still watching Newsroom right here on GHOne television. Let's do some other stories. And a Member of Parliament for North Town, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, has called on the Minister for Agriculture, Dr. Brian Champon, to immediately bring an end to his involvement in the sale of 60% of SNET's stake in 6 hotels to Rock City Hotel. He further stressed the need for the minister to render an official apology to Ghanaians for abusing his powers and acting against the rule of law. He spoke in an exclusive interview with GHOne News' Natalie Ford.
Stop the attempts to rationalize this and distance himself from Rock City Hotel. It is him. He has the sole beneficial interest in Rock City. Everything is for him. All the profits go to him. He knows that. He has not relinquished his interest in Rock City. So I expect him to stop the lame defense out there. And I expect him to respect the wishes of the Ghanaian people who want him to stay out of this deal. He should issue a statement that he is withdrawing his interest. He is backing out of this deal. That is the only way he can save his face. So he should back out, and he should apologize to the Ghanaian people for engaging in this, and just stay clear of this transaction. Because under Article 78 and Article 98, he should have been nowhere near this transaction in the first place. He did not apply for a speaker's certificate to engage in a business transaction, to hold an office of profit. So he should just back out of this deal. The quicker he does that, the better for his own image.
Now, the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA, has described as worrying the silence of the Ghana Bar Association on the leaked audio implicating the Attorney General allegedly seeking to coerce the third accused in the ongoing €2.37 million ambulance trial, Richard Jakpa, to testify against the minority leader, Dr. Kasil Atoforsen. Now, ASEPA is also demanding the resignation of the AG or be sacked by the president. It again called out the Ghana Bar Association and the presidency for reducing this troubling development to a banter between the two main political parties. Now, we'll shortly be joined by the Executive Director of ASEPA, Mensah Thompson. He will join us. He's joined us on Zoom to have a discussion on this particular development. Mensah, thank you so much for joining us. So exactly why are you calling on the GBA to intervene? Hello, Mensah, can you hear me? Well, we'll still work the lines and get to speak to Mensah Thompson. He is Executive Director for the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA, and they have described as deafening the silence of the Ghana Bar Association on the recent banter and public engagement between the NDC and the NPP on the ongoing €2.37 million ambulance trial involving the first accused being the minority leader, Dr. Kasiel Atoforsin, and then the third accused, Richard Jakpa, who has produced a tape, an audio recording. And on Tuesday, we had the NDC play that 16-minute audio recording, basically talking about the fact that, well, there's the need for the Attorney General to be removed. Earlier, you saw on your screens the Deputy Attorney General, Alfred Ibuatia, who also noted that the calls are unfounded. But this is Newsroom here on GHOne Television. Let's go for a breather. We'll return with more stories. Please stay. Thank you so much for staying on with us here on Newsroom on GHOne Television. Let's go back to Zoom and speak to Mensah Thompson on our story that we took before the break, talking about the group asking for the Ghana Bar Association to voice its concerns over the recent issues involving public utterances between the NDC and the NPP on the €2.37 million ambulance trial involving the minority leader, Dr. Kasiel Atoforsin. Mensah Thompson is Executive Director for ASEPA, and he has joined me via Zoom. Mensah, thank you so much for your time. So exactly why are you calling on the GBA to speak to the matter now?
Thank you very much. Very good afternoon to your cherished viewers and Ghanaians. Let me say that we, as a civil society organization, we are extremely scandalized by the conduct of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. But we are even more scandalized by the silence of the Ghana Bar Association, who, way after 48 hours after incontrovertible, undisputed evidence of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice trying to undermine the principle of judicial justice, the Ghana Bar Association has failed to either condemn or dissociate itself from the conduct of the Attorney General, who is the leader of the bar. And it begs the question, what sort of association of lawyers we have, or what is the status of the Ghana Bar Association? And I think the Ghana Bar Association is beginning to lose its relevance, is beginning to lose its value, is beginning to lose its importance in this democratic process. Because the Bar Association is specifically set up to promote the principle of justice, social equity, to promote and defend the rule of law and the administration of justice. So for the leader of the bar to be caught trying to undermine all these principles on which the bar is established, and we have the Bar Association silent without uttering a single word of condemnation or dissociating itself, nobody should play the ostrich, or nobody should believe or behave that the conduct of the Attorney General will not have any implications on the general image of the bar. You must be living in the
as we speak.
Paradise if you think that.
Mensah, can you hear me? This issue is in court. The judge herself has mentioned that,
yes,
well, the public utterances on the matter will not affect what is happening, the substantive case in court. So why do you want the Bar Association to speak now and dissociate themselves from what has not been put out in court, but rather in the court of public opinion?
Well, my brother, what are you talking about? We are not talking about the substance of the case. I'm not interested in the substance of the case. If the Attorney General believes that some wrong has been done and he wants to prosecute, the Attorney General can prosecute. We are not against the prosecution. What we are talking about is the conduct of the Attorney General which there is incontrovertible evidence. Has the Attorney General come out to deny the audio circulating?
But Mensah, this evidence you call incontrovertible was not presented in the court of law. And that's why I'm asking that once there's a case in court, shouldn't we allow that to have its full course before you ask the Ghana Bar Association to dissociate itself?
No. We are talking about three things. One, the Attorney General coercing a witness to lie in his testimony. The Attorney General contacting a witness on the blind side of his lawyers. These are ethical issues which the bar is there to protect and defend.
Okay.
And so if the leader of the bar is seen undermining this key practice of lawyers, it's a practice among lawyers.
Yeah.
You don't coerce a witness. You don't contact a witness without his lawyers.
Okay.
So is that the position of the Bar Association? Is the Bar Association in support of this conduct? And so if the Attorney General's conduct undermines these principles and virtues which the Bar Association is supposed to defend and protect, and the Bar Association is quiet,
right,
it's not dissociating itself,
okay,
it's casting a slur on the general practice of law in this country.
Very well.
That's the point that we're trying to make.
Mensah, that's noted.
That the Bar should condemn the conduct of the Attorney General,
okay,
and dissociate itself from it to prevent any sort of image crisis which will affect the Attorney General from transcending onto the general bar in the country.
Well, I'm sure the point is well made, Mensah. Thank you so much for engaging with us. For the lack of time, we'll have to drop it here, but we'll continue in subsequent bulletins. Now, GHOne TV's Natalie chronicles the failures of agencies, governments, and Ghanaians in the maintenance of key installations in a documentary titled Unkept. Now let's watch this.
African is ready to fight his own battle and show that after all, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs.
In Ghana, it is widely recognized that there is a significant issue with maintaining public facilities. Many traffic lights across the country aren't functioning. Some street lights have been out for months. The excitement of inaugurating new facilities is often short-lived, and maintaining them proves to be a challenge for those in charge. The lack of maintenance culture is costing Ghana significant amounts of money that could be used for development projects. One glaring example is the Independence Square, a major landmark in Accra. Established in 1961 by Ghana's first president, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, it symbolizes the nation's victory and independence. As the first African country to gain independence, Ghana's Black Star Square served as an inspiration for other countries on the African continent seeking independence from European colonial rule. To put this in perspective, the Independence Square is to Ghana what the Arc de Triomphe is to France or the Statue of Liberty is to the United States of America. The difference, however, maintenance. Fast forward, 63 years after its establishment, the once enviable edifice leaves much to be desired. The fence has collapsed, showing years of neglect. It's clear that timely maintenance was not a priority for those responsible. A 73-year-old educator recalls the nostalgic memories of visiting the square as a child. She fondly remembers the Soul to Soul Festival held there on March 6, 1971, which brought top musicians from the United States to Ghana for a 15-hour celebration. The Black Star Square, with its 30,000 seat capacity and iconic design, has stood as a symbol of national pride. But for Professor Vladimir Intridanso, who remembers its glory days, the current state is disappointing.
When we say Ghana was the torch bearer of Africa's independence, then that torch was symbolized in the Independence Arc at the Black Star Square. It was a place you felt the soul of Ghana was. Now the surroundings are such that it's bushy, and beyond it we hear people defecate towards the beach. It's an eyesore. Honestly speaking, when we were young, we really cherished this place. You were passing through the place and you could feel Ghana. You feel some kind of belongingness. Today, the place is so ordinary. It's been renamed Independence Square. How do we feel our independence when we are passing through this place?
Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Akwesi Agyemang, attributes the poor state of the Black Star Square to the many stakeholders involved in the maintenance and management process.
These facilities don't necessarily fall under the Ghana Tourism Authority's ambit. I mean, there are several state institutions that also have interest. It's not entirely correct to say that these facilities have been left. There are processes that you have to go through, and there are rules and regulations that you have to follow. So clearly, I mean, some of these things will take time. You have to advertise, you will have to, even if you're going to go through some level of restrictive tendering, there are processes that you have to follow. So, I mean, just like you, we've been worried.
He stresses that the Independence Square will see a facelift before the end of 2024, and notes other historical and tourism sites in the country are also earmarked for renovation and refurbishment.
What we did was to provide some justification for some partnership. And national security understood that, okay, in the times that we are in, I mean, I think it's time for us to open up these facilities, be renovated, and then work going on. So going forward, what we are going to have is to have trained and certified tour guides and site guides on site, so that when you come, they will take you around based on the history and what you're going to see. So it's going to be serving a dual purpose. I mean, for the Independence Square, open to the public for tours, but then also for national events and also for rental to organization.
Patrick Esuming is a senior lecturer at the Department of Finance, University of Ghana Business School.
We have a culture that says that if it's for the government, it's meant to be misused and abused. And that is where the poor maintenance culture comes from. So it's good to make the budgetary allocations, but it's important that people's attitude towards public or government assets completely changes. Now, there's also a school of thought that would say that, well, you know, the politicians are mostly motivated by procurement economy. They want to make big procurement. So when a road develops a pothole and then you have to award a contract to fix it, it's a very small contract. And the scope for making money out of that is very small for the politicians. So they would rather wait for it to deteriorate. So I think those fundamental issues have to be addressed. It's more important to address those ones. Then, of course, we have to make sufficient budgetary allocations for maintaining.
Unfortunately for the Ghanaian taxpayer, the poor maintenance culture extends beyond historic sites to basic infrastructure. A crucial public good across the capital is traffic lights. Its function to assign right-of-way to conflicting movements of traffic at an intersection. The extended purpose of these signals is to increase safety, manage traffic and travel times, and provide direction for drivers. However, of what good is the erection of traffic lights across the capital when many of them are malfunctioning? For months, drivers going past the Jubilee House had to maneuver the intersection with discernment, intuition, and observation alone. As the traffic lights for Independence, Natalie Fort, reporting for GHOne News, Accra.
So that's the reports chronicling the sad spectacle that greets you when you visit some of these iconic sites. Our maintenance culture, very, very poor. But we put it up on social media, and Nanama Aqua has joined me with what you have also been saying regarding this phenomenon. Nana, so what are they talking about?
Well, Joshua, what we asked is, how do we instill good maintenance culture in people's minds in Ghana. When we go to Instagram, Pofowa says, people in charge need to be held responsible. She goes on to say they should be prosecuted and jailed if they are found guilty. They can't just be taking money and causing financial loss to the state. We have Hassan. It's so heartbreaking to see most of our monuments being left to rot with zero or no regard for it. Those in charge need to do better. Then when we move over to Facebook, Samuel says we don't need good maintenance, but good character, behaviour, conduct and attitudes are what we need in this country. Very, very true. We have Christina here. I wish this was aired internationally, so countries that support Ghana with donations could see how their money is wasted. That's an interesting comment there. And our last comment on Facebook here, Kobe, please, have you passed by recently? I think it's been worked on, so if you can give that update too. If you took note of our documentary there, Unkept, it was stated that the traffic lights have been worked on, but there are others that haven't. My name is Nanama Akwa. Let's hope that this documentary will cause, you know, the stakeholders to do what they are supposed to do so that things will be working moving forward. Continue to send us your messages. Joshua?
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you, Nanama, for bringing us what people are saying loud on social media. Let's bring your business now. Now, the Consumer Protection Agency is this afternoon cautioning the public against increased importation of fake and defective baby diapers in that country. The Chief Executive Officer of the CPA, Kofi Kapito, in a press conference on Thursday, urged the public to buy only registered baby diapers properly packaged and labeled and not exposed to the vagaries of the weather. Now,
I'm pleading with the general public, especially the mothers, that be careful. If you don't know, ask. You are allowed to ask questions. You are allowed to fill them. You see, every diaper is supposed to keep your baby dry and protect them when they soil themselves. Not something that will cause more damage to you. We should not allow an individual, a group of people, whoever you are, to think Ghana is that easy that you can just bring in things that you might not even use it in your own country. And the reason why some of them are even rejected from the countries that they are coming from. But the Ghanaian businessman always wanting to make a lot of money. This is what even annoys me. When they come, they don't even sell it as reasonable, as cheap as they suppose. They sell it at a high price.
Now, still in business this afternoon, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry wants government to organize an emergency national dialogue to find a lasting solution to the continuous depreciation of the cedi. The chamber laments the erosion of their working capital, forcing many of their members to close down their businesses.
The cedi has in recent months received some whipping from the American dollar, causing it to suffer a 17.7% depreciation. This has seen the cedi reach 14 cedis to $1, leading to several businesses losing their capital. The chamber therefore calls on all well-meaning Ghanaians, especially the private sector, to join forces in prevailing on government to take immediate steps in rescuing the situation.
We have realized that the depreciation of the cedi has impacted negatively to our business. The exchange rate is key, it's fundamental in anything that we do. It is the exchange rate that we use to forecast, and we believe that the government will lead for us to know the exchange rate by the end of the year. For us as private sector, we believe that the better thing for the government to do is to hold some meeting, tripartite meeting or meeting that has to do with the big guys in the industry who usually have to import, and that will depend on the dollar. It also means that people are also losing confidence in the cedi, because for cedi to have value, it must be stable.
Delivering a lecture on factors contributing to the unstable nature of the cedi, a banking consultant, Dr. Richmond Etuahini, said the country loses over $3 billion in remittances annually due to blockchain.
The Act 987, Payments, Services and System Act 2019, 987. They introduced a new fintech blockchain, whatever you call them in it. But the question is that when the foreign currency gets to them, it doesn't get to central bank. And I'm saying that in the previous, before 2014, we get the money to MoneyGram or Western Union. A certain commission is paid, but the money, the foreign exchange is made available to the system. Unfortunately, it's now completely the opposite. People are holding on to the foreign exchange. So when I say track, trace, and capture, what I mean, they should go by the old ways where we can capture all remittances rather than people becoming owner of the foreign exchange, which is in contravention of the Foreign Exchange Act 726/2006.
And that's it for business. Well, it's time to bring you the latest in sports, and the lady in black, Monica Bukari, has joined me with what's happening in the world of sports. Monica, it was a hectic day yesterday talking about the Black Stars.
Exactly.
What's happening today? And
I'm asking you, you know it has been a challenge with our goal scoring in the Black Stars, right?
Right.
It has been a challenge, right?
A huge challenge.
Coach Otto Addo says they are working on together with his backroom staff to make sure that we secure at least 6 points by scoring goals ahead of the World Cup. I've got this plus many others coming up making headlines in sports. Do stay. Now, head coach of the Black Stars, Otto Addo, has admitted the team's goal-scoring abilities is a challenge that himself and the technical team are working to overcome. Addressing the media at the GFA headquarters, Otto Addo acknowledged these shortcomings and promised to address them as they forge forward.
I think this will be one of the parts we will work on. We discussed it with the coaching staff, so this is a very good question. And every game is different, I have to say. So sometimes you have more space which you can attack. Sometimes you have smaller space which makes it difficult for you to score. But there it's about creating solutions. And this is also one part of the training, to be solutions, how we can score goals. And at the end, it's about the players who hopefully will transcend these ideas on the pitch. But yeah, it's not easy. It's different if you play in Europe. There are different conditions. There are different pitches. The weather is cooler, so we have to adapt to the situations where we're in. And still, we can do better. And we try our best to implement our ideas into how we can score more goals.
Do join us at 1 p.m. here on GHOne TV and, of course, Star FM. My name is Monica Bukari. Back to you, Joshua.
And on that political entertainment note, we draw the curtains on news from here on GHOne Television. There's more news for you at starfm.com.gh. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. Thank you for your time.